Yes, we hold Billy too there. Okay, Bill, come
Ladies
on
and gentlemen,
around.
please hold it quiet.
Okay, that's the shot.
Thank you for ripping a ticket to another installment of Hellhound Film Club. I'm your host, Cody Pope, and this is my co-host, Danny Dymez. And as I truly am every time we do this, I'm thrilled to introduce tonight's special feature.
Whoa, first things first. First things first. Tonight, we're live at The Spot in downtown Nashua, New Hampshire, one of the Gate City's newest and most acclaimed entertainment lounges, featuring mocktails, coffee, kava, and more. Check us out here for the Hellhound Film Club live events on Wednesday nights at 217 Main Street, Nashua, New Hampshire, when the doors open at 7 p.m.
Now, for our special feature, we have the following selection: Taxi Driver. Originally released on February 8th, 1976, which is the date this year that a lot of people will watch this episode and hopefully go watch the movie afterwards.
Taxi Driver is a 70s crime neo-noir film from one of the master of cinemas, Martin Scorsese. Suffering from insomnia during disturbed loner, Travis Bickle, played by Robert Deniro, takes a job as a New York City cabbie, haunting the streets nightly, growing increasingly detached from reality as he dreams of cleaning up the filthy city. When Travis meets pretty campaign worky Betsy, played by Cybill Shepard, he becomes obsessed with the idea of saving the world, first plotting to assassinate a presidential candidate, then directing his attention towards rescuing 12-year-old prostitute Iris, played by Jodie Foster.
Hopefully, some of you guys have seen this. Doesn't take us to say it, but this is one of the most iconic films of all time, one of the most impactful films of all time. So there was a number of reasons why this was like a no-brainer for me to put on this list. I know for me, like growing up as like a punk rock kid and a hardcore kid, those were some of the earliest places where I heard references to Travis Bickle and to, like the rain that'll wash the scum away. And hearing it through music was, interestingly enough, the thing that really made me be like, I need to figure out what this is and like go find this. And of course, when I saw it, it changed my life. So that's how we ended up here tonight, honestly. I was fortunate that it fit into the whole release date programming thing, but that was one that, but I was like looking that up because I like wanted to do something on this for a long time.
I gotta be honest, for me, biggest reason I ever watched this movie was because of one line, and one line only. I gotta be honest, like that line was so iconic, and when growing up, when this movie came out, like I wasn't even born yet. So like that line was iconic. Like growing up, you would hear it. And as I got older and I started getting into movies, I really was like, okay, I really need to know like where this came from, the context, and also what movie did this come from? Yeah. And then of course, once I found out, I had the chance to watch it, and now I got to watch it again and again and again. But
watching it at an older age for me was nice because, like, I don't know, like, I watched it as a kid because of those lines in my family, and just like you're saying, like, kind of nostalgic. Like, I remember like joking around my dad saying that as a line to me as a kid, and me saying it, and everybody laughing and thinking it's funny. And I'm like, growing up, I'm like, man, like, what is this? And I was like 14, 15, and a friend showed me that movie because we were talking about that line. And that's how that came up. So it's funny to say
that. So this was an overdue rewatch for all of us.
Yes.
Danny, I'll start with you because you were just kind of getting into it right there. But How are your feelings on this now after we just watched it?
My feelings on this now, being much older and being through the things I've been through in life, for me, it's a small reflection of small parts of my life and like things about myself that kind of reflect through the movie. And it's kind of weird to see, like, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a loner, but I do enjoy my isolation. I do enjoy, like, being alone. Um, so kind of seeing like how he transitioned from like having that isolation almost be like detrimental to him is almost like kind of a little scary, because like there's that cusp where, okay, like I've isolated, but am I at that point where I've isolated too long? Like, am I now in a bad place because of it? And this movie like really hits a lot on mental health issues, particular men's mental health, which in the 70s was not spoken about, was not like anywhere reflected. So this movie brings a lot to the surface, which I think is something that makes a movie very powerful and impactful. It's not that you just went purely for entertainment, that it actually left a mark on you. So to me, rewatching was a great reminder of some of the things like inside myself, even that, you need to continue to work on, so that way you don't end up like that.
Yo, that is, dude, like I feel you on the isolation point of like when like you want to isolate and when does isolation become, too much and you start going crazy. But what I noticed in the movie and what I had mentioned to Cody and you guys was like when his dressing started to become different, when he started to almost like change his whole style, but he was becoming more crazy as he was becoming more almost fashionable. And then he went from fashionable to straight up commando status. And when you saw him make that transformation, like that's kind of when you knew, like the big peak in the movie was coming. And like subconsciously, you watch this guy go from kind of disheveled and kind of like weird looking and kind of real loner looking in the beginning, and towards the end he becomes almost like fashionable, and then he almost becomes menacing or like punk rock, like straight up like a reference, like I was saying to Cody about Bob from the movie SLC Punk. Huge mirrors in how the final scenes of Deniro looks opposing to how Bob looked as a main character in SLC Punk. In my opinion, they really were like reaching there, and I didn't even think about it till rewatching it now when it comes to the character Bob in SLC Punk. The way that they physically made him look is so spot on to how Deniro looks right now in Taxi Driver that we just watched. So I was like, kind of that tripped me out because been on a big like SLC Punk kick lately. I don't know. It's just one of my favorites when I get
classic, dude.
Yeah, but like just tonight with that parallel to me really connected with that for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. This movie almost has like these punk rock aftertones in it, like in a way, and this revolutionary sort of feel to it, in my opinion. And where does someone become a revolutionist in their own mind where they're doing something right, but in the mind of the world, they're actually fucking crazy? So I feel like that's also something that like this movie touches on when like isolation and obsession becomes like dangerous. I feel like.
So as a rewatch for you, has it been some quite times, I'm assuming, since you've seen it?
So if I'm being totally honest, I don't know if you could tell by the fact you guys can't really see it on camera, but I'm literally
Yo,
wearing,
he's rocking a
I'm literally wearing my
nasty
taxi driver
hoodie.
shirt. So I can safely admit that I rewatch this pretty frequently.
I had a feeling you would say that.
I own a 1999 DVD copy of this film.
Right on.
So
I love that.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't until this week that I even realized. Like, I just assumed I had upgraded it because I watch it so much. I was just like, even my girl was like, oh, I thought you like must have had it on Blu-ray or 4K or something. And I was like, I assumed I did this whole time. And I've just probably been watching the same copy for
20
over
years.
20 some odd
Dude, that's
years.
what I've been doing with Blow.
I'm assuming if
I
you
have
flip
the
it
same
over.
copy
Same,
from
dude.
when I was a
Same,
kid.
straight up.
Same one.
I'm assuming if you flip it
I
over, it's
know.
gonna have like burnt in
Oh,
lines
dude.
from watching it so many
Mine-
times.
mine-
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's all
It still
messed
is
up.
like sticker residue from like
Oh, yeah.
Suncoast or one of
Dude,
those
oh my
places.
God.
FYE or
That's-
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
That and Casino, I have like my old copy of Casino sitting around. I'm like, what the hell?
real.
I'm like packing up my apartment right now, trying to go back to Hudson and stuff. So it's like I'm finding like all these old copies of movies in my apartment. And I'm like, oh my god, this is. And now you have me looking at the dates and stuff. Like I wasn't doing that before. I'd be like, oh, this is the copy of, it's all the same. Like now I'm looking at, it, I'm like, dude, this shit's old. This is like not even like
Yeah.
a good copy. So in a way, it's like I want to watch the shitty quality. I don't know why. Like I feel like that's nostalgic. Like having the quality of it be like a certain way. You feel me? Like
Yeah, well, not even to like.
I like it. Like I almost was like, because I've been trying to listen to vinyl. It's like listening to like vinyl opposed to like listening to digital stuff. Like I almost want to go as far back as watching like Scarface on tape and things like that. Like I want to find.
You
some
should go back
VHS.
and watch the original Scarface.
Yes. I have watched the original Scarface a long time ago, and like I do want to do that, but I want to watch it like original. Like you got me all like film nerdy all of a sudden, bro.
I love that.
I love it too.
He's gonna come in next week with a real projector. Watch.
I'm all about it, dude.
Dude, you never know.
Yeah.
Me, bro.
He's
I'm
gonna be-
manifest.
He's gonna be trying to school me on French New Wave and shit.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. I know like 2 words in French. I'm not gonna use them here.
all right. Last thing before I get us back on track, because you mentioned SLC Punk.
Yes.
SLC Punk is absolutely one of my favorite movies.
Fine.
And fun little anecdote about it. The reason I discovered SLC Punk was because as a child, I was very fortunate to grow up walking distance from a video mat.
Oh, dude,
And at the video mat near,
mat,
yeah,
bro.
dude.
Holy, oh my
At the
God.
video
I had
mat-
a video mat too. That was better than Blockbuster because it was cheaper, bro. So you could get more videos. Cheaper than Blockbuster. Hometown people. Kind of hometown. Hudson, Nashville area. That was
Yeah.
it. That was all it
Mine
was.
was in Nashua.
Mine was in Hudson. Mine was the Hudson one. Crazy.
So
I forgot that place.
my video mat that I grew up near had the SLC Punk poster in one of the now showing things like around the
What?
store. And so like I just would as like a child of punk rock, I was like, oh, there's a movie that says punk in it. Like, what
need
is
it.
this? I
Yeah.
need it. And I rented
I had
a
that.
copy, and the first time that I rented it, like that weekend, I kid you, I probably watched it like 10 times, if
Dude,
not more,
yeah.
just that weekend. And same thing, like the copy that I have is probably like over 20 years old
So
at this
good.
point.
Dude,
What a crazy movie. Shout out to Matthew Lillard too.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't get enough respect on his name.
Dude,
But with that said,
All
I
right.
gotta steer us back on track.
All right. Right the ship now.
So I would like to kind of going in tradition of what we were doing the last couple weeks is I feel like both of us had a couple noteworthy things that we were like, I was jotting some stuff down. I know you had some stuff in your head. I want to go through a couple of the things. I don't want to call them like facts, but like some of them are like facts, and some of them are things that we just like picked up or noticed ourselves and like decided to look into or whatever. First thing I have to mention right away, especially because Cody Pope fans will understand why I'm tying this all together, is as soon as the movie opens, you hear the score from Bernard Herrmann, which is just like
Yes.
every score he touched, absolutely iconic. And so first crazy thing about that, as we were discussing when we like were setting up and met up, it was the last score that Bernard Herrmann ever did in the same like time period that he submitted it. He ended up dying within
So
like an
wow.
incredibly short amount of time from that
Dude.
moment. and why that's such a prolific statement on his life and his artistic career is that, to give you an example of the scope of Bernard Herrmann's influence on score and cinema and music, the first movie score that he ever did was Orson Welles' Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And the
I didn't even
last
know
movie
that
he
till
ever
later.
did was Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
And in between, he did Alfred Hitchcock movies.
Yep.
He did the theme for The Twilight Zone. He did a number of Brian De Palma movies, even.
Dude, Twilight Zone will be forever.
I think it was. Don't quote me. I don't know if it's. But in his career, from beginning to end, I believe it was 64 scores that he put together.
Damn, that's remarkable. I wouldn't be surprised.
I believe it was 64.
Yeah.
But like, to put together that many scores and to have as many iconic.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like all the
in
work.
that amount.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that put out hundreds of things, and might get one. You know what I'm trying to say?
Even like, look at like, not that you want to like compare people, but like Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is one of the most brilliant composers of our day. He's done fucking the Dark Knight scores. He's done like countless Inception, like so many of the like biggest movies of our time. But these didn't like crack the pop culture sphere in a way that like Bernard Herrmann's music almost always seemed to crack some sort of like barrier into the
like
pop culture, like
energy-wise, when you hear it in itself,
like,
even now, it's like it like gives you anticipation. It's like, oh, it makes you move. Like all of his stuff is so I don't even know, like provoking almost, like
and
of emotion.
It's the kind of stuff that like people will hear the Twilight Zone theme, instantly know what it is, and have potentially never seen an episode
ever, but
like,
know it.
But they know that it's Twilight Zone because of that music.
Exactly.
Well, for like in particular for like the Taxi Driver, like they at first they wanted like a jazzy kind of theme for it, and he was like, that's not going to fit. But then he took almost like that soft, sophisticated jazz for almost one side of the character, and then he had that almost ominous like drum like beat for like almost like the other side of his character. So like almost when they like, so like when you, so perfect example, when he goes in and he's like talking to Betsy and he's fashionable, like it was more jazzy toned, you know, music. It's kind of like to show more of like the upside of him, like almost like, oh, here's the happy go side of him. And then like when he was more like ominous and like when he
in the crowd against the, like when he was like pulling out his,
when he's standing in the crowd, you know, just before the assassin, like boom, 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 that nice, like, you know, hard drums to kind of give you that almost like different feel. It's like the score was like bipolar to his bipolar, which was incredible. Like it gave the emotion into the character with the character giving its own emotion. So like the actor put in the emotion, but the score added the emotion even more. 100%. It gave you that like that that audible, you know, like emotion to go with the visual emotion that you had from seeing the scene being played out. And well, he did that during he did that in Psycho with great score to go with the actual theme. Like you could walk through the movie through the audible of the score and probably not have any words, and you could feel the emotion of the scene just from that score. And I unfortunately, like, I think if he would have not passed away, I could only imagine what we could have gotten, you know, continuing on. That would that whole idea of, you know, you're not a legend until you're gone.
He lived a pretty long life, though, all things considered, and like life expectancy
early 60s, I believe. That
in industry terms,
that he
like
passed.
80s. Like,
I know, for real.
Funny like that. Like even on the sides of like being a composer and being on that end of the industry and being somebody in so many films. I mean, the guy had probably FU money, So,
Yeah.
to be able to even be in your 60s with that type of money, if I had that type of money, I don't know if I'd make it to my 50s at this point. Probably wouldn't make it to my 40s, let's be honest. Who knows? I got to get that FU money first. But
Yeah, I feel that.
And I know you as a music artist, you have a very big passion with music, and you definitely appreciate a good score.
Well, and that's why that was, I mean, obviously it's like the first thing you hear in the movie, but the fact that it tied into the Rod Serling stuff, which I talk about so prominently in my music, it was just one of those, that was like how I had to set this thing off, was like, that was like one of the most notable things to me as I got older. Like when I was younger, it was like, oh, this music is just like, this is the music. Like it's intense, iconic, whatever. And then I got older and like learning about that relationship and like all of that connectivity to all of these other movies was just like, wow, like it really further explained and explored the power of music in that sense, where it's like people, it's like you hear it amongst music heavy people, but like think about people that say like things like they're like, oh, I don't really listen to music, like I don't, it's like, dude, okay, I get that maybe you're comfortable driving to work without music like a psychopath, but if you removed all music for a 24-hour day, people would literally end up in an asylum. There's the amount of places that we have music that people don't think, in commercials, in elevators, in lobbies,
Walking through Walmart.
Yeah, exactly.
In the grocery store.
Now you just turn all of that stuff silent. It would be like, it's like water torture.
Yeah, music's important to me. Music's very much a part of my life, very, very deeply and rooted. So 24 hours without music would probably be a bad situation.
That is big into music, and then in their life they tell you like, oh, I haven't been listening to music lately. You already know that person's not like right. Like I've had people in my life that were in the music industry. I'm like, oh, like here, like check the song. They're like, oh no, like just haven't been listening to music. I'm like, okay. Like,
are you plotting a murder?
Well, have fun with you. I'm gonna go listen to music. Like,
yeah.
I would just ask if their name was Travis Bickle.
For real.
Wait, what was his fake name that he gave?
Oh, Henry.
Yeah. Henry.
Like Kilginger or something like that. Oh, it definitely began with a K. I know that.
It was Henry, like Kipper. No, like
it was like a real name of like
Kissinger or something like that.
Funny. He was like smiling.
Yeah, that was so.
And just
good.
making up an address, and then he gives him 6 numbers for the zip code, and that's a 7-number digit.
Oh my god, that was a funny scene. Oh, it was Crinkler.
That sounds
that
right.
actually does sound right.
Crinkler.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
It's Henry Crinkler. Can't even say it. Say that 3 times fast.
Right.
Henry Clink. Okay, one time.
I can't say my own name 3 times fast. Never mind somebody else's.
It's like, yeah, say the alphabet backwards. Bet I'll just go like that.
What was another thing that what was like one of the first things that you thought about as we were going? Like that was the first thing I thought about, was the music and just like how heavy, like, like what, obviously it should go without saying that in order for us to do this program, we have to do a little bit of research. So I went through my DVDs, special features, and, some other stuff. And he did some research as well. And so, like, I had always known Bernard Herrmann did the score. You know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff, the connective tissue was already there. But it was this go around that I realized he died before basically like seeing the finished product, and like that being his final score, that made this rewatch hit differently, because it's like, yo, that's his final goodbye, that's his legacy. And as a musician, it was just like, man, I could only hope to make a piece of work that has an impact that literally like 50 years later we're still going back and looking at and assessing as fans.
Didn't you guys say last week we were talking about how art's like kind of like comes up in its own time frame, or like 2 weeks ago where it's like art becomes prolific when like when it needs to be, sort of like after the artist dies. And don't you find it funny with his last, scores here that and he passed away and then it became, the last piece of history he did on such a prolific film for what it is, and Scorsese and all that, and the controversies that came from this movie, obviously, in the beginning of it, as you guys were speaking about, how this was like a turn point thing for them, like career-wise, especially for the female role, and how she had to like really make something happen. So there's a lot riding on this, and then that guy's legacy was also on this movie, and then there's just like so much to it. How young Deniro was, how emotional, and how crazy his method acting was in it. Like we were discussing before the showing, like his method acting to do this was unreal. And you guys have a lot more knowledge on that than me, but that's something I find unreal about this movie is the dedication Robert De Niro took to become the taxi driver.
Dude, well, that's the perfect alley-oop to the next thing that I was hoping that we were going to talk about. Sorry, I stole your shine a little bit, but
nothing new. Nah, I'm playing.
He just gave me the alley-oop.
Buddy, call me Larry Bird.
So I'm sure people that are like big fans of this movie probably know already, but if you're like a more fair weather fan, or if you've just seen it once or twice or whatever, one of the coolest things that you find out when you like go down the rabbit hole is that leading up to production, Robert De Niro literally moonlighted as a New York City cab driver and was working like 12-hour overnight shifts to really get that whole method and like get the feel of doing what life was like for like a overnight cab driver. And so like you think of somebody who had just won an Oscar, who like had already like started to build a prolific catalog for himself, and the risk that was to do that at night. Like think about all the sketchy people that he would have come across. And so it's just like it just like gives you a whole different look at acting when it's like you hear about method acting nowadays and it's like really like pretentious kind of stuff, and people that don't want to break character, so they're like rude to people on set, stuff like that. Like I'm not a big fan of that, but like understanding the like psychology of a character that you're playing by living their life beforehand is just something about that is just like so remarkable to me, and was just truly fascinating to like go into other rewatches being like, oh man, he literally was like he lived this life, and like this is what it was about. Nobody like could tell him how to do this.
What I thought was crazy about that whole situation was at the time he was filming 1900 in Italy. So he was actually, for his like method acting, he was actually going to like northern Italy to an American base, and he was recording Midwest soldiers. So that way he could learn the accent.
Yeah.
Finish filming on a Friday, get on a plane, fly to New York City, and work these cab shifts like 3-4 days. Then get back on a plane, fly back to Italy to shoot.
Yep.
Like,
no wonder he looks so sleep deprived.
For real.
Well, that was part of the whole situation. Was he purposely was taking these night shifts so that way he could understand the exact things that a cabbie was going through these night shifts, because the day shifts are going to be different, because you're going to be picking up like businessmen, people going to Wall Street. You're not going to be picking up pimps and prostitutes, and you're not going to have these things that like the nighttime's going to have during the day, because New York City changes when the sun goes down.
Anyway, it does.
I know that for a fact.
Yep. For real.
All them places, bro. Anywhere at night. Woo. LA. Woo.
Wow. The sun goes down.
Oh, dude. I don't
The
even
freaks
like
come
it.
out. Isn't that what they say?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even like going outside when I lived in South Central when it was dark. It was like when you were 6, 7 years old. Your mother's like, oh, yeah, be home when it's when it's dark. Same thing in South Central LA. Same thing. Film when it's dark.
For real.
You don't want to fuck around. I mean, I did. Shit.
And what I thought was really great about that whole situation for him is like he even said like later on, by doing that he picked up like the mannerism, the language, because it was like a different type of language. It was like the way they talked, like the way they interacted. So like when he finally went on screen, like he had like this whole entire like, I mean, there was rumors that like he was so into Travis Bickle that like he was even walking around like carrying the gun everywhere that he went. And like he broke for lunch, like they broke for lunch one day, and he walked into a diner and the cops were called on him for it. And like one of the producers like ended up like settling the situation, but because it was like unloaded in the whole 9 yards. But like his method acting like was very in depth. Like he really got into the whole Travis character, which was, you can really see that on screen.
Yeah.
You can see it progress through the movie, through filming, like the progression of him as a person. Think about him as a person, bro. Like what he had to have gone through during the filming, like how mentally strong you got to be to like do all of those tasks and then still stay focused and produce a movie and make a movie and then be doing another movie at the same time in a different country, trying to learn a dialect on top of being in method acting. That's fucking insane to me.
Well, to bring up about the whole like mental thing, like I think it's like was absolutely insane at that time to have a 12-year-old child.
A lot of people feel a way about that for sure.
I just thought like, don't get me wrong, everything that they did to help like with her, like they had a psychologist on set like every week that she had to go talk to somebody to understand. Like, I mean, in the mid-70s to have that for a child like was mind blowing.
Well, and I mean,
this thing was. Like what it was.
I mean, but you also think about like the zeitgeist at that time too, where it's like, dude, this
was going on every day.
This was like around the same time as like Lolita too.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And like think about that, like Lolita is technically like a derivative work from a previous like film, and I want to say a book too.
I think
but it was still
insanely
controversial when it came
super
out.
risque.
And it was this whole thing of like I get that this was a story, but where does the entertainment come from?
Is it the shock value?
Yeah, and even Kubrick fans are very like one side or the other of like, this is a piece of art that is like very well made with a very intense like story, and other people are like, oh, this is a very like fucking gross thing. And so I think that because that shift from like the 60s to the 70s, in the 70s it was all about like breaking the rules and breaking expectation and like challenging the status quo, even in this, dude, like not my favorite part of the movie obviously, but Marty himself literally wrote himself into this and says the N-word. Which like you wrote, you did not have, you didn't have to do that, bro. Like I get that wasn't exactly that.
During like, there's already a huge debacle going on with like the civil rights movement and everything happening during that time, and that already breaking into the next era of things. Him doing that was just a direct like just incite more chaos into the film to get more word of mouth. I feel like at that point.
I mean, it was definitely indicative of the times.
I also don't think that he was directly using it to be racist. I think he was using it.
No, that's the thing, is like, it was indicative of a character who like would have bet, that.
Well, you also have to think about it. A, the times. The B, the situation. It was a jealous, angry husband whose wife was cheating, and he was literally watching her cheat.
Well, and that just kind of speaks to the social norms of like people justifying their hatred for one reason or another. Correct. And like how many more decades it took to finally realize that like It doesn't matter how much you hate people. Like that's never like okay.
Yeah.
Like that's never gonna work.
That
Which-
was kind of like an unnecessary drop of that word, though.
Which is funny
Even
because
at that
he wasn't
time.
even supposed
Yeah.
to play that
But
Spartan.
that's just like that shock value. It's like
Yeah.
even there's
I mean,
a
it
famous
can-
song that like Patti Smith did. It's not her song originally, but the rock and roll N-word. Like
Yeah.
that was a very and it has nothing to do with like being racist. It's like it's about like the shock value of like, oh, this is how you treat and discriminate against people. And so like it was like paralleling it to shit. And it's like like it's still like very it's still like cringe as fuck
Well,
to
it's-
like go
it's
back
almost
and like
when Chappelle started doing it on Chappelle's show and just openly using like hard R.
but even
like,
that's different. You
But
know what I mean?
he's-
Because that
but
comes from like cultural and historical
right.
like
but
so, you
even
know what I
his shit
mean?
was all shock value stuff. Like, I mean, a lot of his stuff was like, it's just like, how far can the artist at the time be? Like, how far can you push it by being controversial, but also in the sake of art, like, but also in the sake of promotion for money? Because you got to think that they're being controversial for ratings, they're being controversial for views, even like, well, not views in the sense that we look at views today, but sense of like giving that definition of the type of movie that everybody's going to want to see, whether they hate it or love it, making it something that people want to see, like making it as controversial as possible. Like, you know, most people today, like how far can you go? Really, that's like the fucking kind of like the stick of everything. I feel like on social media, how far can you take it? How far can you take the next prank? How far can you do, like, you know, what type of crazy thing could you do in public? How far can you go? So I feel like it's always pushing that barrier. Like, I feel like this movie really pushed that barrier to like let people know about certain situations that really were happening. 'Cause I feel like back then too, everyone thought it was like, oh yeah, I got like some
fucking
like
punking
politician
us.
shit. Yeah, I'm pump faking. No, but I feel like we got just like a lot of that movie's just like really revolutionary, pushing the limits. And I think that Scorsese's films always have, but I feel like that one really pushing some barriers on, like, you know, the morals with, like, you know, the child prostitution, the friggin' assassination attempts. Like, that's some heavy stuff. That's like not like small crimes.
Well, and even that the assassination attempt stuff was based on real life
shit.
incidents.
Yeah. So what really happened with that guy? Like, with the guy that
Now do I get to do facts?
Been waiting, dude.
No, well, I mean, I've been waiting to pop.
Danny fucking memorized the Wikipedia page for this movie, so he's been holding on to this one.
I gotta sound smart somehow.
Let me know when you figure it out.
I'm still working on it, bro.
That was good.
We'll get it by. I might get it by episode 100. We'll see.
Damn, if we get to episode 100, I'll be hyped.
That would be hype.
Well, we get to episode 100. We're throwing a party because
Straight up.
that's a reason to throw a party.
Throw a rave, dog.
So when this script was written, this script was actually written in 15 days in his car.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Paul Schrader was basically like on the outs. Like he had like gone through a divorce and like lost work and shit. Like
this is super crazy. So this is the fact. Like, he left his wife for another woman that left him.
Oh, karma.
Kind of was like pushed out of the AFI, like was like going through some just going through shit. So he was living in his car for weeks on end. He decided that he wasn't going to eat anymore. He switched to a bottle. He would sleep all day long.
A bottle?
You'd sleep all day long. He would wake up at like 4 or 5 o'clock at night, go get a bottle, and then just walk the streets of LA. And then because he couldn't really have anywhere else to go, he would go to these adult theaters so he had somewhere to hang out, and then became obsessed with them.
That's why there's that adult theater.
That's why the adult theaters are in there. It's because the movie isn't per se an autobiography. but there is
No,
a
it's-
lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong influence.
Very strong influence. So, and what they say is that he ended up with an ulcer that put him in the hospital. And when he was in the hospital, he started obviously while he was
Like
in the
forced
hospital,
him to sober up.
he
And
couldn't
shit.
drink, which sobered him up. Then he started working on his mentality, and then he was like, maybe I could write something about this. And in 15 days, Taxi Driver was created.
No shit.
The assassinations were loosely based off of a gentleman, Arthur Bremer, who attempted to assassinate at the time the Democratic nominee, George Wallace.
Okay.
So he kind of loosely used that as part of the storyline. What a lot of people don't know is that in 1981, there was a guy named I'm going to forget this now, of course. John Hinckley Jr.
Yo, timeout. You have to restart that sentence. You cannot say a lot of people don't know John Hinckley Jr.
Some people might not because it's 1981, bro.
I know, but he's still alive today. No, he attempted it.
See?
Attempted it.
Yeah, he attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that was the Reagan guy.
Yeah, because he was obsessed with Jodie Foster. He was so obsessed with Jodie Foster that he actually enrolled in Yale and was stalking her in Yale, and she wouldn't give him any time of the day. So he thought if he attempted the assassination of Ronald Reagan, like in the movie, that he would get her attention because he was so obsessed with this movie that he actually got off on the plea of insanity because of this movie.
I mean,
And because of that, in 1981, Martin Scorsese thought about making films because he didn't want to have that kind of impact on people.
Yeah.
So it actually almost like stopped his career. And think about all the movies we've gotten from him since 1981 that we may not have today.
Dude,
Like, that is
many.
mind-blowing.
One little fact: John Hinckley Jr. is a musician now.
A musician now, really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I forget how long ago it was, but it came out like a few years ago. He started like releasing music, and there's like video of him like playing guitar and shit. Like,
Well, I mean, he's had plenty of time to learn.
Exactly.
Oh, here comes my humor out. We're getting canceled.
Hey, Jodie.
Jodie Foster, you won't talk to me, but will you call?
Dude, maybe should give him a second chance if he blows up.
I doubt that.
He's from jail? Is he composing from jail? Is he out of jail now? Or?
Yeah, I think he's out. He's out because he served time, but it wasn't like
Not the time.
I don't think it was anything substantial.
Definitely not the time that he would have served if he didn't get off on an insanity plea.
Yeah.
I mean, hey.
I don't know. You attempt to assassinate a president, you tend to disappear.
You're gonna blow up. We should get him famous. Again, instead of infamous, let's bring him back. Everyone deserves a second chance. Let's get him on some tracks.
Let's get him.
We'll call
Get a
him- we'll call
feature.
him- we'll put a track and be like, call Ronald Reagan. Super fun track. Dude,
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I know where we're going next.
You do?
Yeah.
Where are we going next?
Oh, we're going to definitely talk about that X rating. There's no way we're not going to talk about that.
I agree. One thing I feel like we should mention though, we talked about it.
We end up like a taxi driver.
Where do we find you?
I don't know, dude. I
Yeah,
wonder.
just so you know, we're looking for more audience members every week. So if you want to join, the couch of crazies, we're here every Wednesday live at the spot. Yeah, we did have people watching the movie. I don't know why the movie would have unsettled them or made them
None at all.
uncomfortable or
No
anything.
reason whatsoever.
I'm used to watching.
But-
people's hands.
Hey yo, pause.
No,
Trying to, oh my god. Well, yeah, there goes my dreams of getting monetized on YouTube.
I think we broke down last week.
We probably did.
And the week
fine. I'm gonna need a couple more drink tickets.
We're gonna need some sponsorships here.
Yeah, for real. But one thing that I feel like we just got to mention from like the statistical fact fucking standpoint is shortly after De Niro signed on to do this, he won an Oscar. And so he signed on for like $30,000. And realistically, after winning the Oscar, his agents could have absolutely renegotiated for more money.
They wanted him to.
And he wanted to honor the contract. So him and Cybill Shepard both signed on for $30,000 a piece.
Unfortunately, she needed it at the time.
She definitely needed it. She was on like 2 back-to-back flops.
It was rough. It was,
but
rough.
It worked out for her. It worked out for the movie too. The movie was looking for a Cybill Shepard type actor.
Literally, that's what they wanted.
Literally
to cast.
the casting call, and they were like, "Why don't you just get the real Cybill Shepard instead?"
She hated her role too.
Yeah, I can understand that.
She felt that it was very underdeveloped, very unimportant. Like she really and it almost called it like animosity in her.
Yeah,
which was perfect for the role that she was playing. So I actually think by hating her role, she actually made the role better.
Well, and that's one of those things too. Do you want a shit role in an iconic film or an iconic role in a shit film?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'll take the shit role in the iconic film.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you got to live with it forever, I would take the
well, if it revitalized my career, you know, I'd be willing to take it.
Yeah.
She don't have a role that says the N word, right? So
Yeah.
You go back 30 years. Don't look that pretty now, buddy.
I know.
The whole, it was funny because like you bring up the money issue, like they were really hoping that he was going to renegotiate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because then they could have killed the film. They were.
Well,
the studio was very hesitant.
They didn't want to do this movie to begin with.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? So it was almost like, yeah, ask us for more money so we have an excuse to
be able to kill this project. Yeah. They were looking for it. And I think almost Robert knew that. Yeah. Like De Niro knew that. So he was like, I'm going to honor this because I believe in this film.
And think of like the catalog between him and Scorsese now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if there's another actor that has as many films with him.
When they originally,
I'm sure Leo is close now.
When they were originally thinking of casting this, they were thinking Dustin Hoffman and Melanie Griffin as Jodie Foster's role.
Yeah. And
I mean, could you imagine how much different this film could have been? Like,
it wouldn't have been good.
No, that's the thing. It could have easily, like, you know,
that's like a multi
credit to those people.
Right there.
Those people are phenomenal at what they do, but it's like some people are just born for certain roles. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, I don't think you could have cast this movie much differently, and it still worked. You know what I mean? Like, there was something about the chemistry between all of these people and all of these people's like clear interest in being involved in this thing. Like, it didn't seem like this was a job. See, by the way, if this podcast was sponsored by Zyn, we wouldn't have this kid fucking coming and going every day. So Zyn, Lucy, Breakers,
some nicotine pouch company, reach out.
Some company sponsor us. We'd be happy to plug your product to people.
I'll plug it all day.
If the lab or Fernway wants to sponsor,
for real, straight up,
we wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
I do have a medical card, so I mean, feel like promo.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they could have killed this project after he won that Oscar.
Yeah, for sure.
They definitely they wanted to, because of how controversial this was going to be, like what this entailed as a storyline, what Martin's vision was very much like way out of the box for 1975 when this was being filmed.
Yeah.
And to decide to continue with some of his decision making in it, to keep certain scenes in it, like the scene between Shorty and Iris, where like that dance scene and like that conversation that he's having, like that compassion manipulation, like I could understand why like this in that time was very much on the like the edge of like, I don't know if we can do this type of movie. I mean,
Yeah.
the distribution companies were very worried about it, and like I brought up, like they originally was going to give an X rating to this movie, and that would have killed this movie because it could have only been distributed in adult theaters, which is a very limited amount of theaters.
Yeah.
So,
I know, I feel you. All that yapping will dry your mouth out. One thing that I thought was just like really hilarious was when him and Cybill Shepard go to the diner and he orders the slice of apple pie with the melted cheese.
Melted yellow cheese.
Yeah. That like so I come to discover that that's not so uncommon, but the first time I heard that, I remember I was like a teenager, I think, and I was like, that is disgusting. Why would you put cheese on an apple pie? Like that just sounds horrible. And looking it up on the internet, it comes up right away that is the meal that serial killer Ed Gein requested from the police for his confession.
Yep.
And so the fact that in the 70s they had such a particular detail that it clearly that had to be from a newspaper or something like that at that time, you know what I mean? And the fact that they like saw that, read it, and incorporated it into the movie as just this little Easter egg was just like so funny to me. And just like was like so fitting.
So funny. I actually didn't have to look that fact up. I actually watched the Ed Gein series on Peacock.
Oh yeah, the whole Sons of Anarchy boy.
And like somebody else was watching it and they just mentioned it and I was bored, so I was like, I'll put something on. And then obviously it got so weird I just couldn't stop watching it. But yeah, when I saw towards the end when they talked about the apple pie, and then of course in the movie it's a chuckle because it's like now I know why they ordered it. I mean, when I first watched this, I had no idea. I just thought, I was just like, that's gross. Who would do that?
Yeah.
And then of course, years later, just recently, I watched the series, and it's on there, and I was like, now that makes sense. Now I understand the reference a lot more, because I was under the same impression that was a reference towards him.
Yeah.
And later, like in the rewatch, I knew it was coming up, so it was kind of like a chuckle under, you know what I mean? It was like, I get that now.
So obviously we'd all seen this in different formats through our life, and none of us were around in the 70s when this came out in theaters. But if you were to recommend somebody watching this for the first time, what do you feel like would be the best format for them to see this in for the first time? If they could see it in a theater, if they could see it at home viewing, like
theater.
The theater? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Theater.
I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. And I don't want it to seem like every week that we're just like going to use that as an excuse to just like plug movie. Like, obviously I want to plug movie theaters, but like I say every week, there's certain movies that you have to experience in a movie theater, or that were built to be seen in a movie theater. And there's certain films that are intimate enough that like you could watch them at home and still capture the essence of it.
The desaturation of the end of the movie.
Yeah.
On TV, at home.
Yeah, it just doesn't do it justice.
You'll get the idea.
Same thing with the audio.
But on the big screen and like really seeing like the original, like more like vivid red.
Yeah.
Toned down to almost that muddy brown red.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard to make out like on your TV screen, even in like a 4K copy.
Yeah.
Where I feel like that big in your face like really brings it out more and kind of gives more of that tone of the movie, like that undertone of the movie that you feel more in the visual on the big screen than you do at home. Trust me, because there's plenty of movies, I'll tell you right now, watch it at home. Don't
Exactly.
Don't go to the theaters to watch it because it's a home movie.
Yeah, like even the first, and I wish I could have like salvaged the episode, but it just like
that's a home movie. If you're gonna bring What I Think You Up, that's a home movie. I think you can watch that one. That's to me a home movie. You bringing up the first one we did?
I don't know. You want to let me finish my sentence?
Absolutely not.
So yeah, we attempted a first episode, which was supposed to be Grandma's Boy. Episode didn't work out as we had planned, unfortunately, but we had such a blast watching that from home, and because of it, and don't get me wrong, seeing that in a theater would have been phenomenal, but that is like a movie you watch in your homie's basement and like take bong rips and just like
enjoy.
You know, that was like that movie becoming so popular on home video wasn't totally like out of nowhere. It is the perfect like hangout movie. Right. And so we say that for reference because when we ask this question, we will come across movies that are like, you know what, like I would have loved to see this with 300 other people. And then there's going to be some movies that are like, oh my God, I just need to be alone.
I want to sit at my house, chill, relax in my pajamas and watch a movie. Like there are going to be those movies. I promise you. I'm not going to say everyone's going to be the theater because I don't see every single movie in the theater.
Yeah, exactly. No, for real.
Some movies I wait till they come out and I can pay for a streaming or come out on a streaming platform or rent it or whatever the case may be. Like there are movies out there that I will wait till home because I just don't feel that they're going to translate or that I need to see it on a big screen.
By the way, please pray for us that we're not picking up all the audio from the bar right now. You would think we're at some like Nashville country bar with the volume in here. One thing we got to get through this episode. We're already going over time, but one last cool thing that I want to mention before I keep burning through this. I don't know if you picked this up. Did you notice anything, or I don't know if you like caught wind of this, but did you notice anything about the narration?
From my understanding that the narration was Paul's original written notes, like his journal.
Yeah, but what I found really interesting is it's Travis narrating his own story throughout almost the whole movie. And then when you get to about like probably like the 70% mark, he starts like saying things slower and he starts saying less stuff. And by like 80% through the movie, the narration just disappears. And the whole last act of the movie, there's just no narration because it almost is like, it seems like indicative of like you're listening to him kind of spiral, and at the point that he like disassociates with himself, we lose that narration as well, and it's just the dialogue from the movie for a while. That is like one of those things that like they don't explain that, it just happens and you have to kind of like pick up on it. And so I thought to myself, like, what a cool like psychological thing to just be like, oh, like we were not like dependent, but it filled in gaps when Travis would like say certain things. And so to then lose that at one point and just see everything in raw and have to like decide for ourselves what the final determinations were was I still think a really interesting device to use. And I can't think of too many times where that was done in that capacity.
I think when you bring that up, I think the stop of the narration is at the same point as almost the break.
Yeah, exactly.
The psychosis break in his mind to the point where he is now so isolated that he can't even get it out, that he can't even speak about it, because that's almost like admitting to yourself, like, I have a problem.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that psychotic break, that switch just flips, and it's like pure isolation, pure, disassociation, like you said, like complete. I mean, I almost believe that same time is like the transition of like, the whole you talking to me point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then the shaving of the mohawk, like legitimately like pure disassociation.
Yeah.
And the entire whole narration goes away because, like you said, at the beginning, we're getting his inner thoughts. We're getting what he's feeling, what he's going through. And then, like you said, the pure cut out of it. And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is in his
Dude, he
mind?
just snapped.
So
His
normally
actions.
at this part we would do like our pros and cons
Yep.
from the movie. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that like I don't really have any cons other than what I mentioned before, which was like, didn't really need the N-word scene, but I understand its context within the movie, so it's like I'm not mad at it. It just could have done without it. And obviously it doesn't bring me any sort of joy. And obviously the story of the Iris character is like
So
very uncomfortable
weird.
as well.
Yeah, that's what I was
But I do think that they handle that, like making, I don't want to like no spoilers hopefully, but like having our lead character kind of go from being like evil intended to like wanting to do something good, I feel like parallels a lot of what most people go through in life, where it's like I've done plenty of shitty things, but I want to be a good person and I want to like exert things. I want to exert more help than I do hurt in the world. And so it's like an interesting dichotomy of how you assess like how much bad you do and how much good you do.
I was gonna say, like, I felt that the plot was super like polarizing. Like, there's points where you're like really like, wow, this guy's actually like got his stuff. Like, he's really caring. He really wants to help these people. He really cares about these specific characters in the story. But then there's other points where you're like, yo, this guy's brutal. So like showing like the polarities of both sides of his personality because of the circumstance being like he has morality. He was a Marine. He has morality because he sees the street as what it really is. But like he also knows that nothing's going to be done about it. So like where morality turns into like conviction, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
fair. So yeah, do you have any cons?
Cons.
So I feel like we've had plenty of pros, that goes without saying. But
Cons, I guess for me would be the storyline of Iris. Like that's that now in our era, in our day of age, like that is a very like sensitive subject.
yeah,
And
but it's still portrayed that it's wrong at the end of the day.
oh,
It's
absolutely.
just graphic.
Yes, very graphic.
But I think that it's like nowadays you got like Netflix movies of kids that get hurt and stuff. So it's like
you got wild stuff on there.
But I can understand, where it's like, but I don't know. I don't want to tell you how to feel, but I feel like that's not so much a con with the movie as a con with the morality.
I think that's what it's more for me is the morality of it. Somebody who has younger sisters.
Boundaries too. It's a morality thing on like just as a film. For me, I was like, there's some parts I'm just like,
right.
And like I said,
and I can see where Rogan was saying. He had him and some people when they saw it in the theater. They were all standing at the back, like kind of at the door, like I'm gonna walk out on this, but they were dedicated to it, like they were bought into it already, and they were ready to leave, but they couldn't. And I could totally see that, like certain points where, I mean, obviously streaming it now and it not being released, still like there was points where it's like some people that were in the bar, I was like, man, I wonder how they're gonna feel. And it's kind of funny to me because, like, I already know it's coming a little bit, but even myself having not seen it in so long, I was just kind of like, there's points where I was like, a couple of those points I did smoke a cigarette there because there was scenes were a little bit crazy, and but then I was kind of going off the score of music outside. I hear
Yeah,
hear how
everybody
it was going.
boo this guy for walking out the fucking movies.
I
Throw
guess
popcorn at him when you see
I'll
him.
eat it.
I guess for me, the only reason like it's kind of like the whole morality issue is that I have younger sisters, and the thought of like that some them ever going through something like
Yeah.
that, like like kind of creates that like I guess like that protective instinct.
Yeah.
Like I would murder somebody if they ever did that to my sister, kind of thing. So
All right. Well, we absolutely can't end on that note. So, 1 to 2 sentences. What was your
too bad my sister's gangster. She'll handle herself.
Amen. All right. Final thoughts, 1 to 2 sentences. Favorite thing about this movie?
Cinematography.
Love it.
As a photographer and videographer, somebody who's getting very much more into filming, the cinematography with the equipment that they had back then and the things that they did to get the shots that they did was absolutely
iconic use of city lighting.
Yes, that was
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
One particular scene, just real quick, Travis is in a hallway on the phone trying to get a hold of Betsy, and they sidetrack to the hallway, and it gives that uncomfortable feeling of the phone call, but almost when they track to the hallway, it gives you that feeling like somebody's gonna come to like make him almost feel better, and then nobody ever comes, which gives that like again that isolation, that loneliness, like that use of the camera like in that scene was incredible. And then I don't need to go into the top shot at the end of the final, like that's the final scene at in the brothel. That top shot, the work that they did to be able to get that shot like was amazing, and 3 months of construction to get a 20-second shot that was absolutely iconic. So
that was Danny's
cinematography.
That was Danny's 2 sentences on his favorite part of the movie.
2 sentences. Don't ask me for 12.
Because you'll get 16.
Just like my bars.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'll ask both of you guys this, but obviously,
what's your 2 sentences?
I would say
sentence 1.
Challenging social ideas and scope of powerful use of cinematography.
Dude.
Where it's like the way the movie looks makes you feel differently about what's happening in the movie. And so that's like,
I feel it's so accurate to its time. It's so fucking, I feel like the accuracy of like New York at that time and what this, how raw it is really like, to me, one of the first movies I saw that was shot not like on purpose, like the atmosphere was the atmosphere at that time. I feel like that was super new to the film industry too, is like using your environment because of your budget, I guess is really a way to put it.
And that's my 1.75 sentences plus his. That's how I feel about that.
I don't have to talk on that.
As a frequent Letterboxd user, I found it really enjoyable to log all of my viewing and rate and review the movies that I watch. So it kind of gives me like a journal of things that I've seen and how I felt about them after different rewatches. So we'll start with you, Interrupter Jones. Out of 5 stars, what would you give Taxi Driver?
I'll give it 4 stars, and the only reason that I wouldn't give it 5 stars is probably just because of, I don't know. I mean, like, it's pretty amazing, but I mean, 5 out of 5 is just hard to give.
Yeah, it's a hard. Yeah, I can't think of too many 5 out of 5 movies, but
100%
solid 4 is respectable.
Yeah.
What about you, Daniel?
I definitely agree with that 4.
Yeah,
it's a most excellent movie. It's iconic. It's definitely a movie you can watch over and over again. You can absolutely watch it and pick out something new every time you watch that movie.
Agreed.
It's definitely a movie that I can enjoy at any point of time. It's definitely a movie in the collection. It's definitely a movie that if somebody goes, I've never seen it before, they're gonna watch it.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Real talk.
What do you think?
So I'm torn, but it's like between a 4 or a 4.5.
Okay.
The only reason I say that is because it's like, yeah, it's like damn near perfect. You know what I mean? So it's like I can't think of really much that I would change. I think I would say 4.5. Like it's definitely up there on like my greatest films list. Whatever number that would be, it's on there. I think it's phenomenal.
Definitely top 100 greatest movies of all time.
I just think there's very few like 5-star movies in my repertoire, you know, and even at that, some of those might be like emotional attachment. So, you know,
that's understandable.
Yeah.
Myself, what would I even rate a 5 as?
Right. But man, this was a blast. Thank you guys so much for doing this.
You.
So obviously we've been covering Taxi Driver. There are copies of Taxi Driver in circulation on DVD, on Blu-ray, and I believe on 4K as well. It's also available on streaming. So anywhere that you could possibly find this movie, if you haven't found it or if you haven't watched in a while, please consider going to find it. It is just, as we've been saying, just phenomenal. If you want to get a little more in depth with other, so I watch a lot of movies outside of Film Club every week. So I log everything that I watch and review in Letterboxd. I make lists sometimes of like influences of stuff. I also follow a lot of like Martin Scorsese is actually on Letterboxd, believe it or not.
Wow.
And like when he's making a film, he'll put out like a list of like the films that he was watching while he was making.
Like influencer.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm very pro Letterboxd. And
you've been pushing it on me. So
yeah. Well, so I'm sure some of you guys have probably seen my other show. I do a show every Monday live on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern called Cody Central. We're coming up on almost 50 episodes. But one of the things that I was doing was Music of the Week and Movie of the Week feature. And it didn't click the same way with that audience where it's like, I wasn't getting a reaction from them or like nobody would say, they would just be like, all right, cool, thanks, let's keep going. And so I was like, I wanted more feedback. So I decided to move the Movie of the Week section over here. I just figured that would make a lot more sense. So obviously want you guys to go watch Taxi Driver, but I want to take the opportunity to tell you about some of the other stuff that I saw, trying to keep up with recent stuff, whatever. So I actually watched 3 things this week, but I'm going to just go back to one. I'm going to go to The Smashing Machine. I don't know. Did you guys see that? So both Danny and I are huge MMA fans, and The Smashing Machine is actually based on the documentary of the MMA fighter Mark Kerr. And he was one of the early like pioneers of MMA and went between Japan and the UFC and like really helped establish the footprint for it. And, you know, going through that time period where the sport wasn't so popular, there was a lot of like trials and tribulations of like how to get through all of that. And yeah,
it's really great. Actually, my cousin stars in it because we're all related somehow.
So I just want to so this is actually from my Letterboxd. You guys can see this. I just want to read my review for this, and then you guys can kind of go. So I gave The Smashing Machine 3 stars. As a longtime MMA fan and a cinema fan, I was incredibly intrigued at the idea that one of the Safdie brothers was reimagining this already pivotal documentary and story. I feel like overall this was pretty well done. The makeup and prosthetics department, that was one of the highlights of the movie. They did a phenomenal job making The Rock look like Mark Kerr.
Yes.
That could have been one of the biggest detriments to the movie. And so what I will say, one of the biggest detriments was The Rock's voice. I couldn't escape it.
How could you?
It looked close to Mark Kerr. Like it looked phenomenal, but he just sounded like The Rock when he talked. And then the worst part is that Mark Kerr, I don't want to like spoil it, but you end up seeing Mark Kerr in the movie later on, and you hear him talk, and they don't sound alike at all. So the voice was still a little too much Dwayne for me. I did appreciate how many actual MMA athletes and like figures from the sport that they got involved to help to make the story play out. And so while it wasn't like a perfect film, it was really enjoyable. I'm glad that I saw it. Admittedly, I don't know if I would go back and rewatch it a lot, but it's a cool movie. And if you're into MMA and you're into dramas and stuff like that, that's a movie I would definitely recommend. That was cool. That's The Smashing Machine. I forget which Safdie brother. That was Benny Safdie.
I am on the same wavelength as you with that movie.
I love that.
Same wavelength, because I was super happy that they got as many real MMA people that are involved in the sport and that have been involved with the sport to be involved with the movie, because it gave more authenticity to the story.
Yeah,
which I thought was very important, because it would be really hard to have other random people playing these fighters if you're a true MMA fighter, you're going to be looking at it going, I can't do this.
You gotta know the culture.
Yeah, I can't do this. I can't have some random dude playing, I don't know, somebody else. Yeah, I can't have some other dude playing John Jones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a very distinctive individual. You just can't have some random dude like Ken Shamrock.
That's awesome.
So if you want to see more of the movie reviews that I do, like for example, I just put up 3 new reviews this week. I'm going to add another 1 or 2 before the end of the week. So if you want to get in on the reviews, see what I'm watching, get involved in the whole movie community platform that like we've just been talking about, the platform that I use is called Letterboxd. I really think you should check it out. If you want to follow me or learn more about it, here's a quick little bit about that before we get out of here tonight. All right, we're back. So that was Letterboxd. That was our movie of the week. Danny and I are going to run through a couple of screening and event listings that are coming up. So obviously, as we mentioned last time, it's really important for us to support independent cinema, independent filmmakers. And so anything that we can do to help get people in the theater and help get people watching movies again is really important to us. So here's a few things coming up in our area. If there's something in your area going on, wherever you're at, if you want us to plug it, send an email to codycentralshow@gmail.com. We'll say that one more time before we run all of these dates through, but send us an email with the info for your screening or your event, and we'll be happy to plug it here. The first thing that's coming up, Sunday, February 1st, Sands of Iwo Jima, presented by the Nashua Public Library, is going to be playing at the NPL Theater in Nashua, New Hampshire. Sunday, February 1st marks the return of the library's Sunday Cinema Classics series, which is free for all to attend. They have a cozy 75-seat theater downstairs, and you'll be able to watch the 1949 war epic starring John Wayne with a room full of fellow film enthusiasts, young and old alike. And so that's every Sunday at the Nashua Public Library. They have a great series of films, and they're kicking it off Sunday, February 1st.
On Sunday, February 8th, Mixed Blood, presented by Cinematograph Films at Film Forum in New York, New York. Cinematograph Film presents their 4K restoration of the 1980s vicious gang war film from director Paul Morsi, featuring the debut of actor John Leguizamo. This is presented as part of Film Forum's ongoing tenement stories from immigrations to Bohemian Films program.
Sunday, February 8th, The Defiant Ones at the Nashua Public Library NPL Theater. On this week of the NPL's Sunday Cinema Classics, they're going to be screening The Defiant Ones, a 1958 classic about two escaped convicts chained together who have to learn how to work together to evade capture. That is a classic, and so it's cool how much variety they have in their programming.
Talking about variety, on September 15th, we got Mary Poppins presented by the Nashua Public Library at NPL Theater in Nashua, New Hampshire. On this week of the NPL Sunday Cinema Classics, they're screening Mary Poppins, 1960s pop culture icon, from a story of a turn-of-the-century London. A magical nanny employs music and adventure to help two neglected children become closer to their father.
Sunday, February 22nd, Sweet Smell of Success at the Nashua Public Library Theater. On this week of NPL's Sunday Cinema Classics, they're going to be screening Sweet Smell of Success, the 1957 classic with Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis, where a powerful Broadway columnist coerces an unscrupulous press agent into breaking up his sister's romance with a jazz musician.
And on February 23rd, Tuesday, Twin Peaks Day at Brattle Theater. In honor of what would have been David Lynch's 80th birthday, Brattle Theater secured an opportunity to play all of season 1 of Twin Peaks starting at 11:30 when Dale Cooper first crossed into town.
They just announced that today. I literally added it to the notes hours ago.
I know how excited you are now.
I am ecstatic.
I know you are.
And as always, we like to shout out some great movie theaters that we love and some great events as well. So big shout out to the Coolidge Corner Cinema in Cambridge, Massachusetts, one of the best theaters in the entire country, if not the entire world. Truly a historical place for cinema. They're constantly elevating the experience of seeing movies. Brattle Theater, also in the Cambridge, Massachusetts area outside of Boston, another brilliant theater with some of the best programming around. The Wilton Town Hall Theater here in Wilton, New Hampshire. It's about 30-ish minutes outside of Nashua. It's a public movie theater. All of their screenings are free. They have 2 screening rooms. It's literally in their old historic town hall building that was built in sometime in the 1800s. And they've had all sorts of events and people through history go there. And now it's a free movie theater that does multiple screenings a week. So if you're ever in this area, or that area, I should say, support the Wilton Town Hall Theater. Super cool, great programming there. And lastly, the New Hampshire Film Festival is October 15th through 18th throughout downtown Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The submissions are open now for filmmakers. If you want more details on that, visit nhfilmfestival.com. As we mentioned at the top, if you have a screening or an event or something film related that you want us to plug, shoot us an email at Cody Central Show. That's CODYCENTRAL show at gmail.com, and we will be stoked to plug your show.
Be more than happy to.
Just like we did last week before we go, we got a couple movie podcasts that we want to plug to you guys. You know, we got to support our own in this thing. And so if you're into old Hollywood history, I would love to recommend to you, from my personal listening, You Must Remember This. They're themed seasons of intricately researched audio podcasts about the secret or forgotten histories of Hollywood's first century. It's one of my favorite podcasts. I've probably listened to every season of it for nearly 10 years now, if not more. If you ever want to learn stuff about like film history, it is one of the most, especially where you drive to and from Nashua all the time. If you ever need a good listen, you must remember this is like just mind-blowingly like fascinating detail.
I spent so many hours in the car during the week. Like, that's all I do now at this point is listen to things and to learn.
Right. A little funnier take is Joe and Ronan talk movies. Stand-up comedians Joe List and Ronan Hirschman do as the title implies, they watch movies and they talk about them. Because they're comedians, they provide hilarious takes on classics and unexpected movies alike. And lastly, One Handshake Away. This is an audio podcast hosted by cinema icon Peter Bogdanovich shortly before his passing. One Handshake Away is a collection of unprecedented long-form conversations with some of the most acclaimed directors working today. Quentin Tarantino, Ken Burns, Greta Gerwig, and others pay homage to the influence of the directorial legends of the past, bringing listeners one handshake away from the icons of Hollywood's past and present. And I'll say I listened to all of those too. Sadly, Peter Bogdanovich passed away while they were in the midst of making them. So it's like only like an 8 or 10 episode series, and he's part of the first 6. And then they bring in Guillermo del Toro to finish up the rest of the season because they were like respected peers.
Right.
So that's another one, especially as like a driver or whatnot, that like one handshake away will really like pull at your heartstrings as a cinema fan. And it's just a great audio listen while you're like cruising back and forth. So thank you for rocking with us. If you love movies, guess what? So do we. We watch movies all the time. We host free movie screenings every week right here at the Spot in downtown Nashua, New Hampshire. You can find us on Letterboxd. You can find us here on Hellhound Film Club. And you can probably catch us at a local movie theater from time to time too. So long live physical media. Keep supporting movies. Keep supporting your local movie theater. And thank everything for the art of cinema and what it's done to my life. Any final words?
Long live physical media.
And don't forget the popcorn.